Hi everyone, it's Trevor here, WN Movie Talk. Anyway, I'm here today. What am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about DVD collecting and DVD collection. My DVD collection, basically, it's growing. You know, and I'm picking these up for like 50 pence a piece. Our local Tip, they was doing them for 10 for £1. So you're getting some real good deals. I'm also on a Facebook group for DVD and Blu-ray collectors. A lot of people can get a lot more access to Blu-rays than I seem to. There is some Blu-rays working their way in. But yeah, this is just generally just a sort of a run through how I collect DVDs, why I collect DVDs. And also stay tuned in the end, where if you are in the UK and you're doing your own DVD collecting, maybe I can help you out, because these are some of the titles that I now have twice that I'm going to try and get rid of. So I thought I'd do a giveaway at the end of this episode. So stay tuned to see at the end which DVDs are in this pile. You're on all these streaming sites and streaming stuff, and like Amazon Prime, whenever there's a film on there that I want to watch it, they end up wanting to charge you like £3 or £4 anyway. So if I've got it on here, I don't have to have that problem. And then I've also heard your digital media, they have the right to take that away. You know, if they update your system, you could have, if you've downloaded something from Amazon Prime, they can take it off at any time. So you haven't, even though you've bought it, you don't own it. Whereas this, you know, not only do they look pretty, because I love looking at my DVDs, but they're there and they're not going anywhere. As long as you've got a Blu-ray player or a DVD player to play them, they're always going to be there. Plus, also, I mean, how many of these have got some amazing special features on? All these documentaries, like say, just for example, the Batman quadrilogy that I've got here, anthology. On each disc is like special features. All the special features on Lord of the Rings extended versions. You don't get that with a media copy, do you? You get the odd documentary. There are some good documentaries online, but ultimately I'm all about the DVDs. Is that all right? This is my recent haul that I've got to try and fit into my DVD collection. There's a few, I'll run through them in a second, but as you can see on my shelves, I've got to try and fit them into my DVD shelves. So if you're starting a DVD collection, leave enough room on each section that you can fit more in. Now I was, believe it or not, leaving that much room in each shelf, and I've filled them up. What also has happened is I've kept my war films over here, because I split into some sort of genre. It gets really complicated. That's a topic for another video. But I've got my war films over here. They go right up to where my Bond films start. Now that's every single Bond film on there, just about fits. But now I can't fit any more war films in, so I've got to reorganise. Never Say Never Again has already found itself on top of the DVDs. It's not ideal. So yeah, obviously I want these James Bond ones over here because of the spine makes up the 007. If I put them over here, they'll go into two shelves. So that's got to stay there. So this is what I've been buying in the last couple of weeks. This is the most expensive one I've bought so far. It's actually my first 4K Ultra HD. I finally got something to play that on and something to watch it through as well. So yeah, SpiderMan Homecoming was £3 from CEX. There wasn't a great deal of choice in our CEX Exeter, and what there was quite expensive for a film that I'd either already owned or wasn't sure that it was a film worth. Sort of like 15-20 quid is a lot for a film. I am a bargain shopper, as you can tell. Cabaret 30th anniversary special edition. I love a special edition. 1997 documentary, Cabaret, A Legend in the Making, and 1972 documentary, The Recreation of an Era. So there's lots of different documentaries. I like a retrospective. Creed 2. I haven't seen Creed 1 yet, but I've got all the Rocky films up there. So I thought, I'll get it, and at some point I'll get Creed 1. Wonderlust, Paul Rudd and Jennifer Aniston. Looks a bit of a comedy from the director of Role Models. I don't know what it's about. ID, classic football thuggery. Now Elvis. Now this was the newest film in here, but on closer inspection when I've got it home, this is a printout. This isn't an actual DVD. So yeah, and then when I've got here, you can see it's quite slightly blurred, so it's a pirate copy that I've picked up from a charity shop. Filamina. I've seen this before, Steve Coogan and Judi Dench, true story. Stephen Frears film anyway. I can't quite remember the story. The Shape of Water. Now, I like a Guillermo del Toro. Actually, I saw this one in 4K, but I think it was like 10 quid or so. And I thought, well, I've never seen the film. And then the next day I went into the second-hand shop and found it. So if this is any good, I might go back and get the 4K version, but I wasn't brave enough at that time. I know nothing about it, but this one looks still wrapped. 50p, it's great, isn't it? Vice, Amy Adams, Christian Bale, Steve Carell. But yeah, it's meant to be quite good. Sam Rockwell was that as G.W. Bush. From Adam McKay, writer-director of The Big Short. So a bit of a comedy drama. Spike Lee's Black Klansman. Again, it's quite a modern film. So, 50p each. It's ideal, isn't it? Now this looks quirky. It looks like the sort of film I like. Almost like a Wes Anderson sort of a look to it. Lars and the Real Girl. Quirky and brilliant. Ryan Gosling, Emily Mortimer. Directed by Craig Gillespie. Yeah, this, if you want to sum up what kind of films I enjoy, they usually have covers like this. They're usually obscure little comedy dramas about strange characters. So that's why the Wes Anderson films have always appealed to me. The Ballad of Lefty Brown. Now this is a western starring Bill Pullman. Again, I don't know much about it. I've only really recently started getting into the westerns since I've been doing this podcast, and the films I own I haven't watched yet. I don't know why, but growing up, westerns was always the least appealing of all the genres to me. But what I've seen, I've actually quite enjoyed. Deadpool on Blu-ray. I don't really go for the superheroes and the Marvel as such, but me and my wife have just been watching the Welcome to Wrexham on Disney Plus, where Ryan Reynolds has bought a football club over in the UK, over in Wales, and there's a lot of mention Deadpool for it, and I thought, as I saw this on Blu-ray for 50p, I was like, well, let's just get it. I've not seen it. Classic Splash, Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah, in a very early Ron Howard movie, 80s comedy, starring John Candy, Eugene Levy as well. I haven't watched this since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, since I was about 8 or 9, so that'll be quite interesting to watch again. It's got an audio commentary on the back of it, Tom Hanks audition, and making a splash documentary. Now, Sean Bean, Danny Dyer, Age of Heroes. They were Britain's commando elite. Now, the cover doesn't do it for me, I must admit. It looks gung-ho, explosives, and I don't know, but it's inspired by the true story of James Bond author Sir Ian Fleming's formation of one of the most important elite units in the history of the British Armed Forces. So the fact it's got Danny Dyer in it as well is a bit of a warning flag, but we'll see. It might be a great film. I do love a war film, and I prefer them when they're true. Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton version, never seen it. So who's in this? Mark Wahlberg, Tim Roth, Helena Bonham Carter. I used to be a massive Tim Burton fan, and I sort of, this era here is where I started to tail off. So I hadn't watched Planet of the Apes. I've watched the new ones. They was pretty cool. I haven't really watched the original Planet of the Apes, if I'm honest, but I don't know, have a look. Another war film, What War May Bring, Honour, Courage, Betrayal. What War May Bring is the explosive story of war-torn Europe through the eyes of beautiful and enigmatic Ilva, and 2 American soldiers, featuring dramatic battle sequences and epic Norman landing scenes. So a romantic war film, perhaps. Paul Verhoeven's Black Book, from the director of Total Recall, Basic Instinct, or one of my favourites, RoboCop. Now, I know that when you watch all the documentaries of RoboCop, there's a good RoboCop documentary at the moment, RoboDoc. They sort of mention in there Paul Verhoeven. He was a youngster being born up in Nazi, whether it's Poland, I can't remember where he was now, but somewhere in Europe, and he saw firsthand all the atrocities. So a lot of the violence you see in his films is violence how he's seen it as a child. So I always thought, I wonder if Paul Verhoeven will ever do a war film, and here it is. So September 1944, Nazi-occupied Holland. Yeah, I think that's where he come from. When her temporary safe house is destroyed by a bomb, the beautiful young Jewish Chantess follows refugees in an attempt to reach safe Allied territory by boat. So, Black Book, a cracking thriller, one of the most gripping war movies ever. An animation I saw here, The Illusionist. Now, I'm sure I've read something about this before. but I've got a couple of sort of animated movies, feature-length films that I haven't watched yet, so I might do a special on those one day. So The Illusionist. The Illusionist is one of a dying breed of stage entertainer whose thunder is being stolen by the emerging rock stars. Another war film, Death Watch. This is like a war horror film, blows the horror genre to bits. At the height of the terror of World War I, few survivors of an English regiment take refuge in a deserted German trench. But when no help arrives, one by one they begin to suffer mysterious and gruesome fates. Stars Jamie Bell there. I thought it was Tom Holland, but it's Jamie Bell. Billy Elliot to you. Closer, Jude Law, Julia Roberts, Natalie Portman, Clive Owen. It's a Mike Nichols film. Quite like Mike Nichols films. The Graduate, obviously. Oh, the one about Bill Clinton. There's a few in there. Catch 22, did he do that as well, I think? Director Mike Nichols, Working Girl, The Graduate. An uncompromisingly honest look at the modern relationships. Closer is the story of four strangers, their chance meetings, instant attractions and brutal betrayals. Want to watch with wife? Now, this one I already owned, but I still haven't watched it. So this is another Western that I own, that I haven't watched yet. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, not Robert Redford. It's supposed to be a really good film, but yeah, this I couldn't resist because 50p and it's a limited collector's edition. And I mean, look at all this. There's a book in here if you like reading, and pictures. And then there's 2 discs. Denzel Washington, Deja Vu, Jerry Bruckheimer and Tony Scott. Now, I used to enjoy this film. I watched it at the cinema, and when it first came out I watched it as well on DVDs quite a bit. But of recent, when I've revisited Tony Scott films, as I'm older, they're very far-fetched, outrageous, just rubbish. I'm sorry, I watched that Man on Fire. Everyone had recommended Man on Fire to me, and I watched that, and I just thought it was absolute crap. And I'm sorry if you think that's a great film. Fair enough, everyone's different. I'm not here to say I'm right or wrong. I just didn't, not for me. So I bought this one again because I thought I used to like it. Will I still like it? Has it got that Tony Scott Hollywood sensationalism? The Imaginarium of Dr Paris. Now, this is the film that Heath Ledger died during the making of it. It changed how they made it, and his character changes characters for the likes of Colin Farrell and Johnny Depp. There's Jude Law in it as well. Don't they all sort of play him in different carnations just to finish the film? And help Terry Gilliam, director, out of a jam. Now, this is, yeah, it looks like a typical Terry Gilliam film on the back. I have seen it a long time ago, I can't really remember. Again, 50p, one for the collection. Special edition again, all those special features. Look at that, I love it. Black Sheep. Now, a New Zealand Kiwi horror comedy. Hilarious, gore-packed horror comedy, Black Sheep. If you enjoyed Shaun of the Dead, this is sheer entertainment. Sheer. There's a few special features on it, but sort of a low budget New Zealand comedy. Can't go wrong. And then, talking of comedies, Paul, which I've never watched. I liked Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz was alright. It wasn't my favourite, to be honest, Hot Fuzz. I haven't seen The End of the World or whatever that one is. And Paul, the trailer just was everywhere. And I'm the type of person who, if it's too much in my face, then I back away and come back to it when the hype's died down. And all I kept having was people coming up to me going, "Oh, you should watch it. He pulls a Mooney. The alien pulls a Mooney. It's hilarious." And I was thinking, if that's the funniest thing in the film, I don't want to watch it. But anyway. So that's all the films that I've bought recently. I've now got to try and fit into this shelf. I'm going to have a bit of a shuffle and a reorganise. So, yeah, let me know. If you collect DVDs, what type of DVD collector are you? Do you always get the Criterion collections, the 4K Ultra Blu-rays of everything that comes out? Or are you like me, a budget shopper who veers towards the special features, but as long as they got something that they can put on a shelf, they're not bothered? Okay, so I've moved my James Bond up. I've put my war films now over here. So they're looking all right over there. Because I started moving the TV stuff, and then I literally had one little square left. Just that little bit there. Yeah, I had an entire shelf. So now I've got all that space. I've got DVDs all over the floor that I've got to try and fit into here. and I don't know what I'm going to put up there. These are basically all the kids' films, and then down at the bottom over there is my wife's films. I don't really want them in my shelf, to be honest. So if I move the TV and that up, I suppose I could put them and my wife's films over there. Keep this just as my collection. I'm working on it. Okay, right, so I've done it now. Kids' DVDs in there. I've left my wife's DVDs over there for the time being in my shelf. That's fine. What I've done, I've put the spares, sort of the doubles I've got here that I'm giving away down there. Put the war films over there, but obviously I couldn't put Full Metal Jacket, it wouldn't fit. So that's over here. And then it goes Sharp, Bond, then goes back into TV. And I put Sharp there because I couldn't fit them all in order. It's complicated, but that's what I've done. So TV shows, goes from like down into dramas and then into comedies and documentaries. So yeah, now that's that. Now I've got to fit these into those as well, alphabeticalising them in the genres that I've already set out. Okay, so your chance to win the following DVDs: The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, Seraphim Falls, Pierce Brosnan and Liam Neeson, Will Smith, I Am Legend, Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin, Sicario, directed by Denis Villeneuve, Steven Spielberg's War Horse, Batman, Batman Returns and Batman Forever, Superman 2 and Superman Returns, The Way Back 2-disc special edition Peter Weir film starring Jim Sturgis and Ed Harris and Colin Farrell, Secretary James Spader and Maggie Gyllenhaal. Jennifer Lawrence is Red Sparrow in this sleek, juiced up espionage thriller. The Inglourious Bastards, Tarantino. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises. Billy Bob Thornton, Heath Ledger and Halle Berry, Monsters Ball. Sully, Miracle on the Hudson, Tom Hanks in a Clint Eastwood film. Steve McQueen's 12 Years a Slave. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Brad Pitt, Cate Blanchett in a David Fincher film. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Birdman on Blu-ray. And a war thriller, true story, The Counterfeiters. So to be in with a chance of winning any of these titles, please follow these simple instructions. Number 1, give this video a like. It's only common courtesy. Number 2, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to keep notified for the draws video and more chances to win DVDs and other prizes in future. And most importantly, number 3, write the words "I want that DVD" followed by the film from this selection of your choice. It's important that you write those very words, as the prize draw software will be set to recognise them from the comments. So there we go. They're all in. They're all on the shelf. And yes, change things slightly over here. I'd love to know if you're DVD collectors, how you organise. What trials and tribulations do you come up with? Anyway, so this was my look at my physical media. That's what they're calling it these days. I hope you enjoyed that. Bit of an insight. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. I'll see you all soon. Cheers.